Welcome everybody back to Breakfast at Midnight, working title, episode 6 and or 7. We don't really know anymore. We haven't done this in quite a while. Snappy's with me, Fred Weird, and his buddy Jay Wiggles, who you can't see right now. They've got their cam turned off. They're dealing with some tech stuff. They're going to get that sorted out, and then they'll have the cam turned on here in just a moment. We're going to bounce around quite a bit on topics. I'm actually going to let Fred go because I have no idea what the topic is about. I want to hear what he's wanting to discuss a little bit and then input there. And then, so Fred will start and then Snappy can input because he probably knows more than I do.
I love inputting things.
Alright, thanks. So, I would like to talk about new Destiny expansion about to come out Tuesday, The Rise of Iron. And not just that, but the things that they've released leading up to it. A lot of people I know have not played Destiny since launch. They haven't, or the first two expansions actually is where a lot of people dropped out because it was really rushed. Destiny got completely rebooted in the last 9 months of the game, development, right before release. The year it was released was also the year they decided to reboot the development, and yeah, just completely overhauled the whole thing. And then the expansions were both made within a month and a half each, and for the first two anyway, the mini expansions. And then the Taken King came in and overhauled it. Just for quick background on all of that shit. So if you haven't played since before the Taken King, I would check it out. And since then, they've added in promo, which allows you to add color. New Rise of Iron is going to add in different skins for your weapons, which is kind of cool. Let's look at that shit. They've added in private matches finally, so you can actually explore maps with your friends and just play around and not have to worry about being so competitive all the time. Yeah. They've added in clan roster to your screen the entire time, so you can always check out if your clan is online to get the clan XP bonuses and shit. They've raised the light level. It's just, I think the story has expanded greatly of what's available in game without sending you off to the website. And I just I fucking love it, to be honest. I didn't at first. When Destiny first came out, I wasn't digging it. Taken King really got me in, and everything they've added in since has just been fantastic. So really check it out. Tuesday is when Rise of Iron comes out. It's going to be focused around the Iron Banner for those people who are upset that Taken King added in. That Taken King added in so much single player, and a lot of people complained there wasn't a lot of multiplayer. The Rise of Iron is going to fix that. So, Snappy, you had something you want to say, or Barney, you want to take yours?
Oh, Snappy can go first. I've actually got quite a bit to say on this in regards to a couple different things, but Snappy can start. And I'm going to extend the thing on this about 5 minutes, so go ahead, Snap.
I'm just gonna, Destiny in general. It's something I played a ton when it first came out, and I've kind of gone back and forth with it. There are times I play it a lot, and there are times I don't. I don't really know a lot about the Rise of Iron. I might get it, I might not. I'm kind of up in the air on it right now, just because I've gotten the other expansions and I haven't played them as much. I kind of burned that candle a little bit too quickly when the game first came out. But I'm excited. I mean, they seem to be doing good things with the game. I'm excited to see where it goes with Rise of Iron, and probably more so with Destiny 2 whenever that eventually comes out.
That's next year.
Yeah.
Rise of Iron's last expansion. Then they're going to continue doing mini expansions, basically how WoW does with the patch update kind of stuff.
Yeah, content drops.
Here's new content for free without worrying about it. And then they also have their Eververse store, which will give you cosmetic expansions, to new characters, just pretty things.
Fun.
Pretty things. So mine's going to be coming from a negative standpoint. Obviously, I'm not going to say who I work for because that would be irresponsible, but I work for a major gaming company for their support dealing with billing issues and some tech stuff. And I've had a number of issues and calls and stuff from customers that are mad because they can no longer buy the base game for Destiny without buying the disc. The digital copy, you can only buy the game and all the current DLC minus Rise of Iron, or you have to go buy the disc to get the base game. So if you already own the DLC and you lost your disc, or you wanted to buy the digital copy and just kind of test it out beyond the fucking the beta or whatever they had, the demo, you can't do that. So you have to drop 60 bones and then get Rise of Iron on top of that. I can't stand when companies do that shit. I think you should always offer your base game no matter what, unless you're going to offer the price of the game and the DLC for the cost of what the base game was, like what WoW does. WoW does, or like if you want to buy into WoW, we have this new DLC. You can spend $50 for it, or you can buy our base game, which comes with everything that came before that for $20. That is 100% cool with me. That's really fucking cool, to be honest with you. But even if you don't offer that, offer the base game.
From what I understand, it's been a temporary thing. They're not permanently taking it down.
That, from what I understand, that's what it's going to be from now on. They're going to lower the price eventually, but you have to buy all the DLC in the game itself for the next while. Eventually, obviously temporary in the sense of it will drop in price because everything's going to drop in price over time. But for the foreseeable future, the next several months, that's the way it's going to be. That's how Bungie's basically been standing on it. They're like, we're going to do this. This is how much it's going to cost. Which is really, really unfair to people first, just now coming into the game that are kind of excited about it and might want to buy the base game to get into it and expand from there. But then they have to drop 60 bones on the game. And it's not a terrible value. I think it's just a terrible business standpoint. You know what I mean? I think you should be able to buy the game for a cheap price, considering the base game's been out for 2 years now, something like that.
Yeah, we're entering year 3 now.
Yeah, so it should be around $20, $25-ish, not $60. Especially for someone that wants to enter. I mean, I've had literally at least 10 customers in the last month that were upset.
The other thing with the comparison with World of Warcraft is World of Warcraft has a subscription, has been around for 12
Correct.
14 years. On top of that, so they can afford to do that. Destiny doesn't have a monthly subscription. It is flat out, here's the game, then an unlimited strew of content.
Don't they have microtransactions?
They do, but they just introduced them, and there's not a whole lot on the store. It's like I said, it's just cosmetic. And they're basically in a test phase right now. They've introduced it, have some items and some things with the emotes and stuff like that, and they're just kind of seeing how it does.
I guess in that sense, it was not a great comparison, but you can get my mindset, right?
I do understand, and I can understand how some people are upset, but I also understand. Rise of Iron is supposed to be pretty huge. Taking King alone was damn near could have been Destiny 2. There was so much fucking content added with that. So much updating. It was huge. It really was a full-on expansion. And Rise of Iron is supposed to be almost, if not as big.
Interesting.
So I don't really see it as a bad side. Once I get Rise of Iron and actually, I already pre-ordered it, so I've already taken it. But as soon as I get it, as soon as it comes in,
isn't it the 28th or something like that? It releases or 23rd, something like that.
Yeah. And the other thing is if you already have the base game and the expansions, it's only $30.
Oh yeah, I mean that's cool. I'm just saying the fact that if you don't have everything before it, it's $60 right now on one of the consoles. I'm not gonna say which. I don't know if that gives you a hint of which console I'm working for, but that's one thing that kind of really upset me is that they do stuff like that. It seems to me unfair. I don't know. That's how I see it. Snappy, did you have a topic?
Do I have a topic? I guess we could talk about Pokemon Go. Is anybody in here still actually playing Pokemon Go? Because I know there was
They removed the steps. I stopped playing. I uninstalled. I rage quit.
I haven't played it.
Have you played? So you haven't played since they fixed the radar and everything else?
No, I haven't played.
Once they removed the steps,
either, yeah. And I think this is I just think it's fascinating for a game that was as big as it was, and I can't quite put my finger on whether it's because I don't know anybody that plays anymore, and I keep talking to people about it because I can't figure out whether it has more to do with the fact that the game itself is very shallow, which I think that it's very shallow. But also the fact that they really killed their own game. I mean, they made a game that is entirely about tracking and finding things, and then they have basically made it almost impossible to do that. Even the new tracker is not great. It's kind of shitty and terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah,
I know 2 people that play it. That's it.
I never got huge into Pokemon Go in the first place. It was something I did kind of to pass the time if I was already waiting on something else. It was never something I went and did like a lot of other people did. But I've never been a big fan of using my phone for things other than my social networking and communicating with other people. apps that take up my entire phone and don't let me switch between other things very easily. I don't dig. But I have noticed there's been a steep drop. You know, it was like everybody loved it, everybody loved it, everybody loved it, and the next week was gone. Like I see a couple of people who still do it, mostly kids and older people. Like people our age, I've noticed do it now more. Oh, I'm going over here, so I might as well just play Pokemon Go on my way. It's a lot more of that, I feel. But I haven't checked out the update. I honestly don't even know what the update all had in it. I just completely have dropped off entirely.
Everyone I know that was really big and played it, when they released that thing where it removed the steps and it was super fucking hard to track Pokemon and find them, literally stopped playing. The moment they presented that massive fucking challenge, they were out. They were like, fuck this, I'm done. I literally know 2 people that play it, and they only, to my knowledge, play it somewhat. They don't play it a whole lot, whereas most people would like okay, I'm going to go out and walk and do things today because I have this Pokemon Go thing. And the moment it was super hard to find stuff, like they couldn't find a direction to be going, they didn't know where they should be going, like, I'm not going to walk around willy fucking nilly and end up in the ghetto, you know what I mean? I want to know where I'm supposed to be going, so they completely backed off of it. And like I said, I uninstalled it. After that, when it was like, because I mean, I don't have the time to walk around random city fucking blocks. I go to the park, I do stuff like that, and I'll wander in the park a little bit with my kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once that was gone, it was super fucking hard for the average person, I feel, to find Pokemon. That killed it, I think, for the average person, which is the entire fucking player base, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just one of those things. It just it blew up big and then it was done.
That's
So,
the way it goes.
as somebody who used to play it a decent amount, Barney, because I know you probably played it more than Fred.
Yeah.
What would it take to get you back to Pokemon Go? Like, what would it take for them to announce, like, this is going to be in the next update to get you actually to care about the game and actually to want to play it again?
They would need to do a lot of publicity so I'd actually know that they were doing something, because I literally have not been paying attention or give a fuck at all. So first of all, they would have to get my attention. I don't know, maybe flash some titties and beer on my screen really quick. Hey, look at Pokemon Go, titties and beer. And then I would pay attention really quick. And then, add some kind of tracking system. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Pika. I mean, add something that, yeah.
You play Pokemon Go, right, Jeremy?
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's like what you guys said. It just got picked and then it just died. I mean, it was very hard to find Pokemon, and to find Pokemon, you had to go like downtown and wander.
Yeah.
And it just wasted time.
Yeah, we had to go down to the canal a couple of times and just walk up. That's how we got.
I got my Dratini.
Yeah, that's where we got our water Pokemon. I just walked up and down the canal, but you shouldn't have to go downtown
to get a Pokemon.
To get Pokemon.
My friend had to drive from Alec, you know Alec, Fred. Mm-hmm. He had to drive from the lower end, almost, he lives down near, close to Kentucky, on the Kentucky-Indiana border, all the way up to Chicago to be finding decent Pokemon. Like, I think they also need to fix, like we talked about this before, they need to fix their algorithm that spawns certain type of Pokemon to really make it a little more even for people that live in rural areas, or at least, borderline rural areas. Because I live in a college town. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in the Pokemon spawns here are pretty shit.
I mean, if you're savvy, you can always go sign up for. But if you're savvy, you can sign up for Ingress, their old game. And you can submit points, and that will become gyms and Pokestops in the Pokemon game because it uses the Ingress.
Oh, okay.
Maps, and so they're adding in. So everything that came in with the launch of the game was pulled from Ingress. Everything else is being added as they go. So there's a whole lot that they haven't done just because of how they went about doing the Pokemon.
How convenient is that? Like, how much of a challenge is it to go in and do that stuff for the average person that probably doesn't own a computer? Because
Ingress is on your phone too. Ingress is
really?
Basically it's Pokemon. It's exactly the same. It's just you go, and that's why it has all this historical information on the Pokestops. That's what Ingress is. It's geocaching.
Okay.
Like, it's just a thing where people go to these different spots and then they check in and mark it and pick up, like, I don't know. It's some alternate reality game, just like Pokemon is, only it's not Pokemon.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. So, hopping over to my topic, and I feel like this is something we can bounce around a bit. I was super triggered, 2 days ago, Fred, or was it yesterday? I think it was 2 days ago. I don't
Yeah.
remember. But there was a review posted for 7 Days to Die, which is obviously
Oh,
my
that was
fucking favorite
yesterday.
game. It was yesterday, okay. And I read this about 3-ish days ago, and I read it, and I was like, well, this person clearly did not play the game it was intended to be played. They didn't really do a good job of reviewing it, I don't think. Whatever. I was going to post a comment, but to post a comment, I had to, like, sign up an account with their website and do, like, 15 other things, and I was like, nah, fuck that.
Before you get into your rant, I just want to say you did your huge rant yesterday, and then you went to go get your birthday cake because today is your birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Well, happy birthday, everybody
Oh,
watching
thank you.
the show.
Birthday, sir.
Today is a nice episode. It's 6 or 7, and it's also like Barney's, I don't know, like almost 30th birthday. He's getting
It's like 80 now.
I think today, right? 27, 28?
28, yeah.
Yep. I was right the first time. Then you paused. Second guess myself.
I feel like Facebook lied to me. I feel like Facebook said 27.
Did it really? Wow.
When I looked at it yesterday, I
GG
swear it did.
Zuckerberg. Way to fuck that up.
Good job, Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so
Let's
so
do it.
I'm reading this and I'm like, they didn't do a very good job. I wanted to comment. There was so much to do to comment that I was like, fuck this. I don't care enough. Well, I went back to read it again when I seen a post on Twitter about it, just to kind of see like if there's been any modification to updates, anything like that. Because sometimes they'll go back in and add information. Same, nothing's been changed in the review, but there was 832 comments, whereas before there was like 1. So people have actually read this and commented, and I was reading the comments, and I literally seen one comment out of the maybe 100 that I read that was like, people are going to defend this game that are fanboys. They clearly are stupid, and there's some good points, but the reviewer, I think, did an okay job. They kind of got the concept. And I was like, what? And then every other fucking comment was like, who reviewed this game? Are you stupid? They were apparently reviewing part of the game, or at least a good portion of it, in creative mode, which is like being God mode in Minecraft, where you have everything. So there's no challenge, which this game is based on being challenging. It's extremely hard. If you've ever played Ark, if you've ever played a survival game, turn that up to 11, because this game is stupid fucking challenging. Especially the new update that just came out. So this person, A, played an older version. Well, I guess the current version at the time. The new version getting ready to come out is adding so much. So you're not even mentioning the fact there's a huge content drop getting ready to come out. You're playing it in creative mode, so you're negating any real challenge. You're not playing with other people, which is part of this game is surviving together. And a problem with the company I have is that it's a really, really good PvP game made by people that don't like PvP, but they still somehow made a great PvP game. But they don't want to embrace that, right? So this person's like, okay, I'm going to play PvE because they say it's a PvE game. But they're missing out on all this content, but they still did this fucking review, and it was like, I was so fucking pissed. So I went on this, like, I think, like, 10-post fucking Twitter rant where I just completely vented, and at the end of it, I'm like, if you're gonna fucking review this game next time, come fucking find me, and I will show you how to play this game. So my biggest thing is, like, is it just fucking laziness in the industry for major fucking magazines and publishers reviewing games, or is it just fucking what? Like, why can't people properly review a game that deserves to be reviewed properly and give an actual good depiction? You know what I mean?
It's because we've lost what journalism used to be a non-bias approach. It used to be like 5 to 10% opinion, then 90 to 95% like objective fact. Like, when you say a game sucks, and this is how I do my reviews, just because I've always loved English. It's part of what got me into writing in the first place.
English.
Yeah, when I started doing my reviews, I would say why I didn't like something, but when I broke it down at the end, I would straight up say why, like with a not statistical, but with a factual reason. So when I would talk about the controls, I would say the controls are kind of clunky. Sometimes clunky works for some games, but other games, not so much. You don't want to go into Call of Duty and have like a 10 millisecond reaction time. It's too long. You hit that because that's a noticeable. You push over on a thing and there's a noticeable lag between when you actually turn. Or when you pull the trigger and there's a lag between. That's a problem. It was one of the issues with early wireless controllers. That's an issue with modern games. You can't have that. We have such a seamless. You can't go back to. That's one of the issues going back to play Sega Genesis. Is there's such a slow reaction time. It just throws you off. So that's one of the things that you have to like actually discuss. And so people come in with these opinions on, oh, there wasn't this, or it was really difficult, so I didn't like it, and so I give it a 4 out of 10. And it's just like that's just subjective. It's an entirely subjective opinion, and that works for some people, some blogs, which is where blogs came from. They were opinion based, personal, weblogs. And everything's a blog now. There's no more real publications. Everything's a blog. Even newspapers are more or less like printed blogs. It's become ridiculous. Everything is opinion. Everything is bias, and that's why. That is what's happened to the journalism. As far as the game goes, and your question about them not wanting to embrace the PvP, that's where Minecraft came from. There was a PvP game called Infiniminer. It was a voxel engine, that style of bricks and stuff, where you had to go around and you had a very destructible / buildable environment, but it was a first-person shooter that was designed for you to build your base and defenses to be able to like go and shoot the enemy team and take it out. It was a deathmatch game. And then a lot of people were like, hey, if we don't kill each other, we can make awesome shit here. And the developers were like, no, go kill each other. Go kill each other, go shoot. And the people were like, nah, we're just going to make houses.
Yeah, we're gonna make a village over here. Fuck that.
So the developers tried so hard to keep these people out of the game and to push them out, and like really alienated what was the core of their demographic, essentially. And so Notch went and was a modder and had initially made a mod for this game, which was Minecraft, and then ended up developing it solo as its own standalone thing. And that's where Minecraft came from. And that's why it was always in beta for so long. It was just some dude who decided to fucking throw some shit together because he really loved an aspect that didn't exist of another game. And so I wouldn't be surprised if 7 Days to Die, at the end of all this, ended up having somebody mod it or make something very similar with PvP being embraced. I would not be surprised.
Any input, Snappy?
History repeats itself, man.
I can definitely agree with what Fred is saying and what you're saying about gaming journalism. It's one of those things where I think, Fred says it's everything, and I do agree that I think it is a large degree everything. But I think gaming journalism, I think, is especially bad at being very opinion heavy, and I think it always kind of has been.
Joystick.
Yeah, it's just terrible. It is really, really hard to find gaming journalists who aren't opinionated, and it seems like a lot of gaming sites tend to give games to either one of two people on their staff. They either give the game to somebody who really, really is going to love the game, or they just give it to somebody who has no right deserving the game because they're really bad at it. Like, I hardly ever see reviews in the middle where it's just somebody who was kind of into the game or is like they're a JRPG fan, so they should be reviewing JRPGs. Instead, they'll give it to if it's they'll give it to the biggest Final Fantasy fan on their staff, and the entire review turns into a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Even if it has
Love
all these flaws, because oh my god, it's Final Fantasy. Or they'll give it to the guy who, he's not a Final Fantasy fan, all he plays is, god, what's the exact opposite of Final Fantasy?
Call of Duty.
Tetris. He's a Tetris fan. All he plays is Tetris all day long. He just doesn't get Final Fantasy.
On his Game Boy.
It's like, what the fuck is this? There's no squares and cubes and things going down. I don't understand.
I'm a Cubert enthusiast.
Like this terrible middle ground. Like they have such, it's like they struggle to find these people who can be biased and who can be middle ground and just kind of aren't gonna pick favorites or hate on things because they aren't Tetris. And it bugs me because I don't know how many games I've had like that where, I haven't played 7 Days to Die, but I know I've had tons of games where I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with these reviews, but okay, I think you missed a huge aspect of the game, or I think you're reviewing it poorly, or
you're not playing
it's
right.
the opposite. Yeah. I'm there's huge flaws in this game. I've always had that issue with the Halo series. I like the series. I think it's good enough, but if you play 1, 2, and 3, the stories in those games are terrible. They're terribly told. Master Chief is a terrible protagonist. He has basically no character to him at all. He just kind of grunts and moans and goes, yes, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do that for Cortana. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I mean, that's all that happens. I mean, even in 3, like there's a couple of main characters that die in the third game, and I was just like, I don't care that these people die.
Spoiler
I
alert.
had no emotional attachment to them. I had no this, I had no that. But you would never hear that from a Halo fan, because a Halo fan, all the Halo fans and all the people who review it are Halo fans.
Yep.
Will sit there and go, well, you're just not doing it right because you didn't read the books, and it's all in the books. That's where the depth of Master Chief is.
Well, did you read the books? It
Yeah.
makes more if you read.
It does. It
Overwatch
does.
Forward Under Dawn, because that has some of the. They always want to send you to some other media, and I'm like, no, I want to play a game and enjoy this game as what it is. When you do multimedia, when you go to multiple different, like your different platforms and areas for exploration of a franchise, that's awesome. I love that. But you also have to understand that some people don't get into those other mediums. They don't get into those other areas. So you have to be able to give something for them to enjoy as well. And so many people forget that. And I have to agree that like you don't get a lot of it in the middle. I have turned down doing reviews in the past because I'm like, I don't play this type of game. I can't do a review for it. Like I can't make it. I can't
be biased. Properly biased.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. And so I have turned down reviews in the past. The first bad review I gave, like, 'cause I try my best to give like an objective, positive review. Like, even if a game sucks, I'm gonna try to find the good parts of it and tell you, look, this game's pretty terrible, but it's redeeming.
There's titties.
It's redeeming in these areas, because some people read reviews and go play the game anyway. Like, that way they just have an idea of what to expect when they play it. And that's kind of who I feel my audience is when I would write stuff, was like the people who like to check things out anyway, but just want an idea of what they're about to get into. So I try to give very objective reviews. So no matter what side you're already on, where you're coming from or trying to get to, I'm just want to give you the facts, more or less. And so many people have lost that. Like, it's supposed to be what it's about. Like, isn't it like the investigative? That's what journalism is. It's supposed to be like, here's what actually happened, regardless of where you stand. Like,
yeah.
And it doesn't happen anymore. Even with politics stuff, everything is like the terrorist or blah blah blah. But if this was like the 1950s, where there was actual objectivism, you know, I'm not saying the 50s were great. There were a lot of bad things. I'm just saying, review-wise, like not reviews, but journalism-wise, it was better. There was more objectivism. And
people were more accountable.
Yeah, and so if they were over there, they'd be all like, so the Al Qaeda, they wouldn't call them terrorists. They wouldn't demonize them. Well, they might if they were communist, but
I was like, well, there was those red guys.
I guess it wasn't completely better, but I'm just saying, like, a non-biased would just call them what they were, by like what they called themselves. They'd be like, so the Al Qaeda did this, and then the U.S. soldiers did this, and it would be very objective, not taking a stance. And that's how it's supposed to be. When you go over there with a mindset of what it already is supposed to be, then your writing's gonna reflect that. And it's the same with games. It's the same with movies. Even though you're reviewing a much less serious, issue and subject.
The core concept's still there.
Yeah, it still should be handled professionally and with objectivism.
Jay Wills, you got something for that?
Honestly, with all the media and all that good stuff, it's all scripted, honestly, and it's to make one stream. So you really have to go with the underground, like the Fred, to get those actual facts. And I like when he was up front with that, where he was like, this is what you're going to get into. A lot of people do not like that. They're like, this is it. And it's just like, no, that's not it. I want something actual.
Yeah.
Scripted.
That's the problem I had with the reviews. It was like, I think 4 or 5 paragraphs, and you could tell the person played maybe a couple of hours. Like, they didn't actually take the time to really dig into the game. And I feel like so many games are getting that treatment that aren't AAA titles, and it's A, hurting the indie industry, and B, hurting themselves, because then they're not being taken seriously on certain games. It's just this really terrible fucking cycle.
Hey, Daddy!
Marvin,
Right.
Did you get mail?
I got some mail, apparently, and the trash man came.
The trash man gave you
Yeah.
mail? That's
Well, I think there
exciting.
was a trash man, and then the mail came. I don't think it was the same person.
That would have been awesome.
That's an interesting idea. That like when they're dumping off the trash, you'll also get the mail, but then that would restrict you to only getting mail like once a week and be like fucking 1800s again. Horse and buggy days. But that was the problem I had. I didn't feel like they really, they really deep dived the game the way that it deserved, and maybe that's the way you have to approach games like this because there's a million fucking games to be reviewed now. But at the same time, it wasn't like, I feel like they should have the resources to be able to have somebody play, at least 15 to 20 hours of a game. I think that should be required for any review. Yes, it might take longer to do a review, but your competition ultimately is going to be Twitch and YouTube and things like that. That's where I think the best reviews are going to come from.
As somebody who's been in the industry on that side for years, let me say that's a little unrealistic to ask that much, especially given deadlines. Yeah, especially given deadlines and stuff. It's not possible to give that much time. What I look for when I do a review is I try to get at least like a quarter of the way through it. Like if it's a story-based game, I want to get to a certain point where I can get as close to 100% as possible and still reach my deadline.
How many hours is that, though? Like for a quarter way through a storyline game?
Well, I mean, if you're just powering through and you're not picking up items and stuff, like you're just literally playing the game and just going through it. Usually, like, I would say about 4 to 5. Like, on deeper games, I would say probably closer to 10.
So, I mean, like, I'm looking at it from a sandbox game point of view. Those games, obviously, there's a lot more to be seen. I feel for those, they deserve more time. So maybe it should be a percentage-based thing.
Well, what I do, because they usually will have a percentage box somewhere, where it's like what you've done and how much of whatever you've done. I just try to give everything a decent amount of time in the game. Like, I try to give each aspect a good length of time. If it's like a level-based game, like there's X amount of levels, I'll do 3, 4, 5 levels, depending on how easy they are. If they're short levels, I'll do even more. It just depends. And so, like, if I have a week to write a review, because that's usually, like, you get the game, like, a week before it comes out, that's how much time you have to both play the game and to write your review and have it edited and put up in time to...
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, you're going to end up... Reviews that come in like a month later don't get nearly as many reviews as the ones that lead up to the game release.
I agree with that.
People have already made their decision by then.
But you're looking at like a AAA title or a game release. I'm talking about 7 days it's been out, is out, you're playing alphas.
This is true, but
so I mean, if you're given a week timeline and you play the game 3 hours a day over the course of 4 days, and on the 5th or 6th day, if you're given 7 days for a week, I'm thinking 5 days. So you play 4 days, 3 hours a day. That's what, 12 hours? That, I think, is enough time to get a good opinion. This person, as far as I can tell, played 2 or 3. That's not enough, man. Not for a sandbox game. I think 10 to 20 is a good number. Because what if you play for 5 hours and you find out, I really fucking love this game, so not only am I playing this during my work time when I'm supposed to be playing, I'm going to play it more. If you find out you don't like it, then you only do the 3 or 4 hours a day. But, I mean, I think if you're playing a story-based game, a Fallout, if you will, a Halo, then you can spend less time playing it and get a better idea because it's not sandbox. It's much more linear. So it's easier. So, I mean, based on the game, Super Meat Boy, you play for 3 or 4 hours, you're going to get a good idea of what you're playing. Because it's a much smaller game. There's not a whole lot of difference to it. Apparently there's a villain in my room. But, you know what I mean? I feel like you need to scale it based on the game, but I feel like you should still be putting in a decent amount of hours and not sitting in creative mode complaining that you couldn't do anything at night, but you're in fucking creative mode. Like, the game isn't made to be like Minecraft where you're there to build things, and in my opinion, it's not. It's made to be a survival game. Even if you're not playing PvP, you still got to survive the zombies and stuff, right? And this person, I don't feel like, put forth a level of effort that I think should have been. Not that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of reviewers out there who don't, and the issue is that, and for a while people were strict about it, is that there's a difference between, like, actual writers and journalists and bloggers. And now that there's more, like, so many bloggers, the bloggers are like, we're journalists.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference in how you
Does he sip their fucking green tea?
And everything. Like...
Well, let me run this by you, then, because this is something I thought of. Like, for a game that's like 7 days, it's been out for a while, for almost 3 years now. there's enough of a player base. Would it not be something unreasonable to approach someone that's been an active, avid player of it? Find somebody playing multiplayer, find somebody through Twitch, through YouTube, find somebody on a forums page saying, hey, I'm going to be reviewing this game. I'm looking for someone to kind of guide me, to hold my hand through it. It's not a brand new game. It's not releasing in a week. It's been out. Wouldn't that be a great approach to it, saying, I don't know shit about this game. I want someone to kind of take me through the ropes. What do you find fun about it? What is something that's going to help me get a good idea? I mean, wouldn't that be a smart thing to do for reviewing?
I mean, it would, yeah. But not everybody thinks like that, and I mean, if you're already kind of the reviewer who's going to only spend an hour or two on a game...
Fair enough. They're not going to put forth the fucking effort.
Do that.
I think that kind of comes back to a lot of games, though. I think you should be able to do that with any game. I think you should have a decent idea, like a game plan almost, of what you're going to go into with any review and kind of know what you're going to look at, know what you're going to do. I mean, you can't know everything that's in every game, like especially if you're reviewing it right at release. But a lot of games, you can have a pretty decent idea from early previews and stuff on the internet and just other sources of news about the games before they come out to know what you're going to hit up. Like before Gears of War 3 came out, we knew Beast Mode was going to be in it, we knew Horde Mode was going to be in it, we knew Story was going to be in it.
Yeah.
So if I was going to go do a review for those things, I would have time set aside to do all those things. I would have, time to complete the story and play those other 2 modes and the multiplayer. And like most of the time you kind of know, like we know the new Call of Duty's coming out. It has like a zombies mode, right? I think, or something like that.
We just talked about Rise of Iron and the things it's supposed to have. Like, yeah. Exactly. It's. I don't know why you wouldn't go into it with that mindset. Like, people just.
But
some reviewers just get ridiculous. They value their own opinion more than the information that they're giving to their readers. It's a narcissistic. It's just like, I want my opinion heard. Like, it doesn't matter anything else. It's like, I didn't like this, and you shouldn't like it either because I didn't like it.
It really
I gotta
is,
go.
and a lot of them.
Go ahead and finish. I got about 2 minutes.
2 minutes, that works. I was just gonna say that a lot of reviewers, like I kind of said before, like they just kind of bring like biases. Like, I don't know how many reviews I've read where it feels like somebody like shooter reviews. I don't know how many shooter reviews I've read in the last 5 years where it feels like they're comparing the shooter that they're talking about to Call of Duty, and because it's not Call of Duty, it is not good. Oh well, this didn't have perks and create a class, so it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's just like,
God forbid
what?
be different.
No.
Yeah.
So I think we should pick this up, guys, if we can, either tomorrow morning. Just try to, because I've got one other thing I was wanting to go over, and I'm out of time, obviously. So we can keep this going, or tonight. I don't know if you're available or not, Snappy. We'll kind of sort that out later.
I go to work at 8 o'clock, and I will be sleeping until 8 o'clock. So
Fair enough.
Probably not tonight.
All right, so 8:30 tomorrow-ish, maybe, Eastern.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Yes, probably.
Awesome.
Should be good.
All right,
I get
so
home around that time, so
that's awesome. So yeah, we'll do that tomorrow then. Thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate it. I got to go in a hurry. I got an emergency, and I'll see you guys here in a little bit for the day stream. Bye bye.
Ta-ta.